Hi there, this is Bobby from Ragged Poet, and I decided to do the April Arwen tarot tag inspired by Two Spirit Tarot. And Arwen did one which I missed last month. I think that was 15 questions, but this time she did, I think, 10 questions. So I'm going to dive into it right now. And the first question is, what's the primary reason for pulling cards? I guess to read, but what have I got my Deviant Moon? It's like sometimes I just want to play with them. Maybe that's the primary reason, to hold them and connect with them, because I probably do that way more than I read, although I read a lot. I just like playing with them and looking at them, and just, yeah, interacting with them, communicating and connecting with them. I suppose that's my primary reason for pulling cards. This is my little trimmed Deviant Moon deck, which somehow sneaks its way into most of my videos. So, yeah, that's the answer to that one, to connect. Do you use tarot in any other ways apart from reading, I'm guessing? Well, yeah, I do. I use it for art inspiration. I use it for life inspiration, use it for focusing, I use it for writing poetry, I've used it for writing stories, and I use it as inspiration when I'm making my tarot bags for my tarot bag business. I've never made a hat from tarot, not quite. I've made one from Alice in Wonderland, and I do have an Alice in Wonderland tarot, so maybe that counts too. But yeah, I use it. Tarot isn't just like, tarot is not separate from life for me. It's part of life. I see it everywhere. It's symbols and signs, so I use it like in just about everything. I've used it to inspire me for recipes, even to what to cook. And yeah, so I use it for lots of things. I mean, that could be classed as divination, what to cook, but not really. Advice. Inspiration. So yeah, I mean, use it for everything. Use it for everything. Do I use tarot in my magical practice? Well, life is my magical practice, so hell yeah. Every day I create some kind of magic in some way or other, be it thought or word or deed. So yeah, I do. I use tarot in my magical practice because I see life as a magical practice. But I use it, as I said. I do, I can't actually call it spells, but I do setting intentions with tarot decks, and stuff like that. And I don't know, like, it's all these different categories for things which to me are part of everyday life. I find it kind of hard to split them up, I guess. So that was question 3. Question 4, how do you explain tarot to someone who doesn't know about it? Depends if I'm with them or not. I mean, if I'm there in person, I've got a deck with me, I would just get the deck and get them to look at the cards and maybe explain that it's just a set of pictures, and they do have an order, maybe explain the basic minors and majors, but then I would just get them to look at the pictures and see what they see, and what that says to them. And if I had to explain it to someone who couldn't see the cards, I would probably use Jung as an example. Well, whatever way, I'd probably use Jung and his archetypes, or Joseph Campbell and the Hero of a Thousand Faces. And I might, depending on the person, I might talk about the collective unconscious, because I think that has quite a bit to do with how tarot works. And that's a Jungian concept. But I would talk about archetypes, situations in life, and also I would like the advice thing. So if you trying to decide, I don't know, I can't think of a question at the moment. What would be a big decision you had to make? Or whether to take a new job, for example. Okay, so we'll just have a look at something here. So this is not looking at what the guidebooks say, not looking at traditional RWS meanings, although they will come into it. But if this was a stranger who didn't know any of that and they just picked, say, a random card. So they take this one. Right, so we've got the Nine of Swords. And they've got a job and they're wondering whether to take a new job or not. I hope you can see that. Well, this guy here is obviously fretting and worrying about something, which is quite appropriate for the question. If it's an intense question. You've got the demon on his shoulder and then this cat creature slinking away in the background. And the moons, which to me represent continuity, waxing and waning, and ebb and flow. So I would say to the person, what do these images say to you? If you're holding this card and you see these images and you think about the new job or the old job, what one does it feel comfortable? If you get in a new job, probably the worry is more about the new job than the old job, because like the unknown kind of devil, as it were. So to me, this card would make me feel uncomfortable about the thought of getting a new job. And I would think maybe this imp here on the shoulder was kind of tempting me to do the wrong thing. Away from something tried and tested, and the same with this cat, like running away like the cat that got the cream. I would probably see that as some, I don't know, bad boss or something. And then you've got all the swords that are hanging over you. So, I mean, although they're fixed on a wall, maybe they could fall down. Maybe it feels like they're hanging over your head. But that's how I would see it. But again, I would ask them to take the card, or maybe draw 2 cards, one for each job, and see how the card makes them feel, the picture. Because sometimes I think when you first see a card, the instant feeling you get from that card is the best message you are going to get from that card. So the next question is, do you have a favourite tarot spread? I use a lot of spreads. I make up my own spreads, and I've mentioned them in a previous video. And I'll try and find some links below if I can find that other video. But they are all on Eclectic Tarot, because I used to run reading circles there. And I try to make them apply to both hemispheres, because a lot of spreads, especially seasonal ones, are very much geared towards the Northern Hemisphere. So I try to make mine fit in both hemispheres. I've lived in both hemispheres, and the Southern Hemisphere can feel a bit left out sometimes. Like everything I noticed on Etsy and everything today, it's all geared to spring, and I know Etsy is kind of quite American, but it's meant to be global. So, you know, they need to give a thought to us down here, us Antipodians. But anyway, that's rambling away like I do. But so yeah, I've made my own spreads. I do daily draws. I do 3-card spreads a lot, but actual like more fanciful spreads. I got a deck recently called Breath of the Night, Flowers of the Night Oracle, and by Sherilyn Darcy, and it had a lovely spread in it called A Wander Down the Garden Path or something like that. And I really liked that one, and it reminded me of one that Arwen mentioned on her April Arwen tag original video, and I called A Walk in the Wood, and I actually looked that up and found it on an old blog post of hers, and if I can find it again, I'll post it in my comments box, in my link box below. So I love those spreads, and there's another lot of spreads I love, which are also on Eclectic Tarot, and there's a booklet you can buy, and it's a set of Fairytale spreads based around fairy tales, and I absolutely love those. I used them a lot a few years ago, and I'll try and find the link for that, because they're awesome. I mean, I love bringing fairy tales into tarot and story, because tarot is story. You're always making a story up and making sense of things. So yeah, when it comes to spreads, that's those are some favourite ones. But one particular one I use all the time, as I said, is it's very fluid with me. If I feel I need to take another card for something, then I'll take it. But now and again, it's fun to sit with a spread and just do a little story thing. Especially, I tend to use those kind of spreads more for things like story writing, inspiration. And the next question is a famous person for a famous living person for the Star, the Hermit, and the Justice cards. Well, the Star would definitely be Patti Smith. She's been my heroine since I was about 13, and I heard her sing Jesus died for somebody's sins, but not mine, mama, in Gloria. And she's a writer. Oh, she's got, these are some of her books. She writes poetry. She's a photographer, a biographer, an artist. This is her latest one. Camera Solar, a musician, the godmother of punk, and she's in her 70s now, and she's still going strong. You know, she's still singing and belting it out just like she did like 30 odd years ago. And she's amazing. She does these amazing, inspiring speeches and things. You look her up on YouTube or wherever. Patti Smith speeches or talks, not just her music. That's amazing too. So M Train is her most recent book, and her latest album. Last album came out a couple of years ago. That was called Banger. And again, that was an awesome book. But this came out last year and it won winner of the National Book Award. But she's amazing. As I said, she's not just she's just inspiring everyone. She's very down to earth. And she's got a movie called Dream of Life about her, which is also really awesome and shows you a lot into her character. So, and she's got a blog too. I love Patti Smith. She'll be linked. And the Hermit, I would have chosen Leonard Cohen, but he kind of recently died. So probably Tom Waits. Not just because they've both kind of been reclusive. Leonard Cohen was in a monastery for a few years, and Tom Waits is quite reclusive. He's not out there in the public eye all the time. But they both got this insight into the spirit, like spending time out of the world in their own inner self gives them this amazing insights, and the lyrics they write are incredible. If you've never read any Tom Waits or Leonard Cohen lyrics, I highly recommend it. I mean, Leonard Cohen has written a lot of poetry books too. I'm not meant to be talking about him because he died, but he'll never die for me. But Tom Waits, just, you know, he's the guy that wrote I'd rather have a bottle in front of me than a frontal lobotomy. It may not be the greatest insight, but it's pretty damn clever. And my favourite thing he wrote, my favourite lyrics are to a song called Alice, and he sings, I must have been insane to go skating on your name. I skated on it twice and fell through the ice of Alice. That just makes my soul sing. So as a Star and a Hermit, I'd have to choose him. I think he's very, very wise. And he's done some funny videos on YouTube too. He's got a cool sense of humour. So that's Tom Waits for my Hermit. Justice, well, okay, maybe not a famous person in the sense of Tom Waits and Patti Smith, but I would choose my daughter Tabby, who is famous in her own right. She's very well known in New Zealand, and she's been honoured by the Queen in Buckingham Palace. And she started her own charity when she was, she started working for social justice and humanitarian causes, especially queer rights, since she was 15. She started her own charity called InsideOUT Aotearoa, which I'll link below, when she was 18. She's won a lot of awards for her work, and she's made a huge difference to a lot of people's lives, and she fights for justice and equality all the time. She was in Parliament when they passed the Equal Rights Marriage Bill over here. She was a huge part of that, and she's probably my Star as well, really, eh? But she's definitely the justice card for me, because that's what she fights for. That's what she represents to me, this equality. I brought my kids up to be activists, and it's amazing to see this coming out in them. My other daughter Polly, she's also part of this fight for equality. She's also amazing. And my son is all for justice. He can't stand any lack of that. So my kids are my justice cards. And don't tell me they're not famous, because to me they're the most famous people in the world. Okay, next. Have you ever read in a crowded place, a busy place, and how was it? Yes, I have. But it was cheating because I had a little booth they made me, a little gypsy tent. I read at a local pub, social club, on Halloween and other functions, but they usually make me a little tent, and I take my candles, my tea lights and things, and it's quite dark in there, and people come in, and so I'm actually out of the main crowd. But I do have to go in and out and through all the crowds and stuff, and there's all the noise outside because it is a bar and it's in the same room. last Halloween, I was dressed up as... I had this big chain and a tombstone that I made around my leg and this long white Victorian nightdress on and roses all attached to me. I went as the last romantic soul. And this kind of graveyard, slightly zombie-ish, dead poet paint. And it was hilarious, like walking backwards and forwards with these people to this tent to do tarot readings with my tombstone dragging along behind me on this big chain. But yeah. So, no, that was fine, but I wouldn't want to do it with someone looking over my shoulder or, you know, right at a bar. I probably could if I had to, but that's the answer to that one. Ritual. What rituals do I have? Well, I always have candles going and incense, usually, to set the mood. I also tend to have... I'm kind of influenced a lot by the moon. I follow the phases of the moon. So I always have this moon offering. I've blown the candle out, but it was going earlier. So I always have some cards like... This is my Spirit of the Lune deck. This is... I've set this up for the new moon, the full moon tomorrow. So the harvest moon... It's a harvest moon in the southern hemisphere tomorrow. And it's a full moon in Libra. It will be in Libra. Well, it's currently also in Libra, but... So I have this going, and I have a candle lit when I'm doing readings or during the full moon, when it's the full moon's about coming, or new moons, or whatever. And I've got a lot of these are a bag full of little stones, but there's other stones in there. And I've got some homegrown white sage which I use for purifying the space. So I always have that going. That bowl set up for the moon. That's my moon offering bowl. Sometimes I put the cards on the altar and put another card in there if it's really important. And I said candles, incense, my tea, this wise woman tea, and then getting into the right frame of mind is quite important to me. And I have to do that by completely divorcing myself from my left brain. Really. I mean, I don't find that too difficult because I don't have a lot of left brain. But the closest I can come to explaining it is Julia Cameron did a whole series of books, but the most famous one was The Artist's Way. And it has a thing in it called morning pages. And I mean, I did these probably 15 years ago. I did them for about a year. And the basic concept is, as soon as you wake up in the morning, before anything else kicks in, before you start talking to anyone or thinking about anything, you get a pen and you write down anything that comes into your head. So it's like thoughts flowing past, you catch them on paper. Your mind is kind of a blank. It's not zoned in on anything. It's not connected to reality, if you like, or the daily life. And this is what I have to do when I read tarot. Especially if I'm asking a question for me, maybe. I know stuff, you know how you know things, but you just want a little bit of confirmation, even if you may not really need it. And sometimes I might ask the cards, are my thoughts, am I right? And then I have to divorce myself from my thoughts to make sure that the reading's impartial. So to do that, I need to be somewhere where I'm not talking to anyone or have any outside influence. I need to be just like, not... Well, it could be classed as meditating. I don't like that word because it makes me cringe, because every time someone says relax, meditate, I kind of freeze up and get completely stressed out and start fidgeting. But I guess it is like meditation. I mean, there's no sound really, but it is like your kind of brain is in this space with nothing else going on around. And no thoughts. You can't hold any thought. It's a place of silence within you. Kind of centering. That's the best way to describe it. A place of stillness and silence. So those are my my tarot rituals. And I also have stones. I got this stone the other day, so I just want to show you in case anyone knows what it is. It's kind of beautiful. I like something natural from the outside on my tarot space, and I have a piece of driftwood which I can't find at the moment that appeared from somewhere. But this is like some sort of jasper or something, maybe. But I found it in our local little shop the other day, and it was really cheap. But it's just this big, beautifully shaped lump of stone, and it's been sliced and polished, and I really like it. So if anyone knows what it is, let me know. So that's my newest little thing. So yeah, so that's ritual. Okay, the next question is, what is my next best step? So take a tarot card to ask me what's my next best step. So I've got my Trionfi della Luna here. Give them a shuffle. I'm stuck behind my tripod, so I keep losing things. Oh, there's a fall out. Okay, so this card has fallen out. Let me have a look at it. Just put these down. That Forza. So this is strength. It's kind of funny. I think this card is telling me to be proud of my femininity, yet stop shaving my legs, express my inner goat, and become a builder. And that's probably what I need to do. I need a lot of building stuff, bits and pieces of building work done. Or I want to build a house, a mini house. So my next best step is to embrace my inner goat and become a builder of beautiful, ancient, gorgeous follies by the moonlight. There you go. That's my next best step in life. And the last question, how can I personally improve my reading skills? Oh, I just found this, by the way. This is another ritual thing I do. I have this wise woman tea, which I like to drink when I'm doing anything like this, really. But I do usually have it when I'm reading tarot and things. It's really good. It's made locally, and I have it in my special Rock My Gypsy Soul mug. I've had this on here before, but it tastes so good. Yeah, so what was that last question? How can I personally improve my reading skills? Keep reading, like everything in life. How do you improve? We improve every day, with every minute, with every year. I've never been so happy. I feel healthier and stronger than I've ever been in my life. I'm in my mid-50s, and I just feel like this is the best and happiest person I've ever been, inside and out. So, and I've done that because every day I'm learning new things, opening my mind to new things. And if I went back, I'd lose all of that. So, yeah, keep reading. Talk, communicate with other people. Oh, another thing, this came today. And this is one of my biggest, apart from doing the Marseille thing, be open-minded. This amazing book came today, the Marseille Tarot, Towards the Art of Reading by Camelia Elias. It just came in the post, and I haven't bought anything really for ages, so this was I really wanted this book so much. Books are not cheap in New Zealand. Even buying it from abroad, I had to pay postage and stuff, so that's my next thing, and I'm really excited about that book, because I love her Tarot Reflections blog, and I do love just things, her way that she does things, her way of reading. That was new to me. So yeah, I'd say be open-minded, keep reading for other people, and keep communicating with other readers, and be open, keep learning, keep flowing, nothing static. And once it becomes static, then there's no point. So that's all the questions. I hope you can see this video. The sun's at a funny angle at the moment. I didn't just noticed. It might be a bit in shadow. But mainly it's me talking anyway. There's not a lot to see. So there we are. Thank you, Arwen, for that. And I will post the links below and to Arwen's original video. And thank you to Spirit Tarot for inspiring me to do these tarot tags. Okay, thanks very much. Bye.